Hare Krishna. No, Hare Krishna.
Yeah. That's what you do.
We are in New York City, but behind us is a bridge, a lesser-known bridge called the Williamsburg Bridge. We're technically in Williamsburg, but we're also very close to a place called Green Point. And some of you may be familiar with pastime of His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj sitting in the back of a van when he was delivering some deities to a new center that used to be in this area, actually, in Green Point. And when he got here, it was closed. He had to stay in the van overnight. And it used to be a really, really rough area. Now it's kind of, what do they call it, when they rejuvenate or built up. In fact, right in front of us is I'll just spin you around a second. That's the other side of things. And but he was sitting in the van, and some people tried to break in the van, and he was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? So basically he started barking, growling like a dog, and they went away. But it turns out that those deities that he was delivering to Greenpoint were Radha Muralidhar, who are now the presiding deities at the Bhakti Center.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it was the same, because I heard that pastime from Maharaj many years ago. It was only this year, during the 50th anniversary of Radha Muralidhar here, when we were here, that I was aware, it was those deities. He never mentioned the names, never any, or maybe he did and I didn't hear him, but I don't think he did. I didn't know it was these deities. So that was quite special to find out why I'm here serving them now, and it was those deities that he protected.
yeah, and he also dropped them, that was probably in the early 80s. And then all those years later, here in the Bhakti Center. But anyway, we're here to read Bhagavatam. So welcome to Bhagavatam Bites, and thank you for tuning in. All of you who keep coming back. Any shout outs to anybody?
Yeah, Sally. Dawn.
Haribo Sally, Hare Krishna Dawn.
I guess Sri
Devi. Oh God, you can't leave out Sri Devi.
And everyone that watches. Sorry if we don't. I was just shout out to people that regularly comment, but everyone, we appreciate that you
so if you want a shout out, you got to comment.
Yeah, then we give you a shout out.
Have you been getting any comments on the things when I say leave your comments?
Yeah, all the time.
Okay. All right, so we're reading
Canto 4, Chapter 21, Text 13.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Okie dokie, Text 13, Once Upon a Time. King Prithu. That's what it says in the verse, once upon a time. King Prithu initiated the performance of a very great sacrifice in which great saintly sages, brahmanas, demigods from higher planetary systems, and great saintly kings known as Raja Rishis all assembled together. In this verse, the most significant point is that although King Prithu's residential quarters were in India, between the river Ganges and Yamuna, the demigods also participated in the great sacrifice he performed. This indicates that formerly the demigods used to come to this planet. Similarly, great personalities like Arjuna, Yudhishthira, and many others used to visit higher planetary systems. Thus, there was interplanetary communication via suitable airplanes and space vehicles. It's interesting. I mentioned this in one of the previous readings about because space, because I was mentioning how there's those 2 astronauts stuck in space, literally. And I just saw on the news, it might have been yesterday, because they're supposed to come back in 3 weeks' time. It was just a 3-week mission. They've been there now for a couple of months, which in itself I would die. And then they were told, listen, the earliest we're gonna get you back is February 2025, which I would die again. And then yesterday they did some testing. The thing from Earth, obviously, the thing they sent disintegrated, blew up, and they're like, now it's a question mark if they were going to get back. Oh my god. So then people were querying, critics of this whole moon thing were querying, how did you manage to go in the 60s with limited facilities, etc., compared to now? You guys said you went there and back, and you can't even get these 2 people back, So it brings up all those questions. As we know, Prabhupada said they never did go. But yeah, I thought, that's a blinking good, and all this like technology and brains and whatnot, and they can't, and these poor people, dude. I'd be freaking out. Oh my god.
So I guess how we can relate all this to the purport here is that it's not they don't have suitable airplanes.
No, that's not how I was relating
and
it.
space vehicles. So
I was relating it to the culture that was previously there, that was so sophisticated and intelligent, and so like amazing. And now, like Prabhupada says, what is this modern civilization? What is
they
this?
were so advanced, but
Yeah. It's true, it's sad.
Okay. Text 14. In that great assembly, Maharaj Prithu first of all worshipped all the respectable visitors according to their respective positions. After this, he stood up in the midst of the assembly, and it appeared that the full moon had risen amongst the stars. Purport. According to the Vedic system, the reception of great exalted personalities is arranged by Prithu Maharaj in this great sacrificial arena is very important. The first procedure in receiving guests is to wash their feet, and it is learned from Vedic literature that one time when Maharaj Yudhisthira performed the Rajasuya Yagna, Krishna took charge of washing the feet of the visitors. Similarly, Maharaj Prithu also arranged for the proper reception of the demigods, the saintly sages, the brahmanas, and the great kings. This is beautiful. I'm going to have to highlight this because we're planning a festival soon, and
Just the glass dome I see on top of the wall.
just it's highlighting a point that it's important how we receive someone. I mean, if someone like comes to visit you, shows up, and you're like, all right, my come on in. It's kind of like, but if you're like, hello, so nice to see you, or you give them a garland, or imagine if you bring them in, you sit them down, give them a glass of water, give them a nice seat, wash their feet. Of course, that would be completely uncomfortable, but that form of type of thing, and then they give you a garland, or put some chandan paste on your head, give you a scent to smell. It's like you'll be like, wow, God, I feel so special. And that's the point, So, reception, to give reception, right? When we worship the deity, we give reception to the deity. Idam asanam, idam padyam, swagatam, suswagatam, welcome. Please have a seat. Here, have some foot wash, achaman. Wash your mouth out, Nadu Parka. Yes. Well, that's after the worship, but like that.
Okay, text 15. King Prithu's body was tall and sturdy, and his complexion was fair. His arms were full and broad, and his eyes as bright as the rising sun. His nose was straight, his face very beautiful, and his personality grave. his teeth were set beautifully in his smiling face.
Well, that's fortunate. Speaking about the sun is rising here, and I'm happy, but I can feel Bhava Bhakti going, oh my God.
I know, I was just thinking, let's wrap it up. Purport. Amongst the four social orders, Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas and Shudras, the Kshatriyas, both men and women, are generally very beautiful. As will be apparent from the following verses, it is to be concluded that not only were Maharaj Prithu's bodily features attractive, as described here, but he had specific, all auspicious signs in his bodily construction.
Yeah, long arms, tall, fair-skinned, broad eyes, like lotuses.
It's interesting though that out of the four social orders, Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas and Shudras, it's the Kshatriyas are generally
attractive,
beautiful. I guess they're very passionate, you know? It's very chivalrous passion that you associate with that. Like,
yeah, it's a lot of, yeah, they're courageous, they're brave, they're heroic, they attract that, they got that energy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Interesting, yeah. Vaishyas, there's concern about making money. I mean, artisans, artists, entertainers, you would think they would also be attractive. Brahmanas, yeah, that's an interesting point. Continuing that purport, next paragraph. As it is said, the face is the index of the mind. One's mental constitution is exhibited by his facial features. The bodily features of a particular person are exhibited in accordance with his past deeds. For, according to one's past deeds, his next bodily features, whether in human society, animal society, or demigod society, are determined. This proof of transmigration of the soul through different types. This is proof of the transmigration of the soul through different types of bodies. So face is the index of the mind, and we can see. You can look at some people and you can know when they're lying. You can know when they're happy. You can know when they're telling the truth. You can know if they're being deceitful or devious in some way.
Yeah, even if you don't say something, they pick it up in your facial expression that you don't like something or don't like them, whatever.
Yeah, I'm very expressive with my face. I saw a T-shirt the other day though that said, "I'm not responsible for what my face does when you open your mouth." I thought that was pretty funny. So, yeah, like that. Face is the index of the mind. Okay, you want to read?
16. The chest of Maharaj Prithu was very broad, his waist was very thick, and his abdomen, wrinkled by lines of skin, resembled in construction a leaf of a banyan tree. His navel was coiled and deep, his thighs were of a golden hue, and his instep was arched. Text 17. The black slick hair on his head was very fine and curly, and his neck, like a conch shell, was decorated with auspicious lines. He wore a very valuable dhoti, and there was a nice wrapper on the other part of his body.
Upper part.
That's what I said.
Oh, I thought you said other.
I said upper.
Yeah, exactly. Did you hear that? So,
Text 18.
No. So that means like a chutter, a wrapper, not like a candy wrapper.
No one.
And not like a wrapper like, yo, I'm in the house, I'm down in Greenpoint City, gonna rope you out.
Text 18. As Maharaj Prithu was being initiated to perform the sacrifice, he had to leave aside his valuable dress, and therefore his natural bodily beauty was visible. No. It was very pleasing. It was very pleasing to see him put on a black deerskin and wear a ring of kusha grass on his finger, for this increased the natural beauty of his body. It appears that Maharaj Prithu observed all the regulative principles before he performed the sacrifice. Seems everyone's watching him get changed, which is not very nice actually. Text 19. Just to encourage the members of the assembly and to enhance their pleasure, King Prithu glanced over them with eyes that seemed like stars in the sky and wet with dew. He then spoke to them in a great voice. Text 20. Maharaj Prithu's speech was very beautiful, full of metaphorical language, clearly understandable and very pleasing to hear. His words were all grave and certain. It appears that when he spoke, he expressed his personal realization of the absolute truth in order to benefit all who were present. Maharaj Prithu, this is the purport. Maharaj Prithu was beautiful in his external bodily features, and his speech was also very glorious in all respects. His words, which were nicely composed in highly metaphorical ornamental language, were pleasing to hear, and were not only mellow, but also very clearly understandable and without doubt or ambiguity.
Ambiguity. Ambiguity.
Interesting. We have to remind what's occurred. He had the whole sacrifice, but even before that we were saying he was a little proud or this, and then he did the whole sacrifice. And I'd say both Indra and Prithu got humbled in their own ways. And then, now he's moving on to another sacrifice. You'd think he'd learn.
Well, I guess in that age, that's what kings did. And at his last sacrifice, Lord Vishnu appeared and kind of gave him some quality time. So why wouldn't you continue?
All right.
All right, we're gonna head off now. Thank you so much for tuning in. Anything in closing?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.